are you, dear?
Mary, any better?
Yes, she went and seen the doctor today, and he said he's very pleased with her after this, be 3 weeks Monday. I'm going to let you do the opening because I got to hook us all up, and we're live right now on I'll think of it, YouTube. These are some of the results from the weekend. We've got to kill about 5 or 10 minutes before I call the first in. And I couldn't get anything for KC Raceway, but these are Valley, I-35, and Full 71.
Okay.
And I know you probably can't read those, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hook this up on Facebook. Okay? And then, like I say, I'll do all the stuff in here.
YouTube viewers, our show starts here in about a minute officially. Sometimes it's not a... Here we go. I'm live on Facebook as well. So Facebook people, if you having problems with Facebook today, we're also live on YouTube, Cheeseworks videos, and kind of a new deal. Mike is playing Tech Man right at the moment. So I'm opening the show. Welcome to the Works, local racing roundup here in Kansas City. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. And a lot of the shows are archived. You know, a lot of Cheeseworks famous Night at the Races, you never know where he's going to be. Those are archived on the YouTube channel. And man, if you didn't have something to do this winter, you missed out. I mean, you can look at them anytime, but I mean, boy, it's something to do if you don't have plans. It's just get on YouTube and watch all of them. Man, racing is good. And it is 2021. We had some season openers last week, and kind of got a gloomy forecast for this weekend, but it'll be the second week of racing around here locally. And I think I-35 got rained out. Did it? No, it did not. We raced at KC Raceway. Jesse Pate won in the Outlaw. Excuse me, yeah. And he also runs the non-wing group. We had a topless, or a non-wing junior sprint race as well. I don't have the finishes for that. I should. Usually Mike prepares all that, so I'm sitting here unprepared. How do you like that? Our winners at Valley, which our opening was at Saturday night at Valley, Mike Ryan, Dylan Rafferty, Chris Wright, and Eric Schmidt were the winners. Now Dylan Rafferty also, he races the Mod Light division. He won 2 events. We had a Dash for Cash. Dylan Rafferty nabbed that too. In the new Sport Mod division, which was the old B Modified division, there's a grace period this year. If you've got a B Mod, they'll let you race somehow. So Chris Wright from Cameron, Missouri came down, or no, he's from Chillicothe actually. He came down and won that. That's our main division when the sprint cars aren't there, is the sport mods. Eric Schmidt won in the, his number's 121. He won in the sport compact division. And he looked good. I mean, dominating. Chris Wright looked good. Dylan Rafferty. All 3 of those winners just dominated, I'm telling you. And then in our E-Mod division, which is not IMCA sanctioned like the 2 other modified classes, Mike Ryan takes the win. We've got a phone call here, Mike. I'm going to take this call. Mike's got it. Let him come here and get our caller on the air. We've got 2 guests tonight that are going to be a part of the show. I-35 winners were Houston Johnson, the B-Mods Ethan Isaacs, imagine that. In the stock cars, Austin Bozek. In the pure stocks, Jeremy Purdy. In the late models, Kerry Davis. In the E-Mods, Chris DeShong. And in the front-wheel drive cars, John Willard. So those are the winners there at I-35. Another track that had its opening night was Old 71 down there in Butler, Missouri. And A-Class Modifieds, I don't know if that's going to be part of their weekly agenda, but Peyton Phillips took the win in the A-Class Modifieds. They too have a sport compact division, and they're on Friday nights, so Valley Saturday night. Brad Hick, sport compact winner. Factory stocks was Brandon Rice, and the street stocks, old Devin Irvin, still down there knocking down the victories. And then they have a Midwest modified class too. Dwayne Hobbs won that. And in addition, the B-Mod class, Andy Bryant from Fort Scott won that event. So there was some great racing for you locally here on Local Racing Roundup. I'm going to check on my phone real quick and get these winners from KC Raceway. Bear with me here. It's important that we get those. KC Raceway in Liberty Bend, Missouri, actually. So a lot of people ask where that's at, and it's Liberty Bend is a community near 210 and 291, and kind of a unique place for a racetrack. It's down in
We'll put you on the other
end
phone.
of
We'll put you on speaker.
industrial park. And it was point races. They're having carts at KC Raceway this weekend. And last weekend they had a 2-night special for the micros, and they ran, and the junior sprints, they ran Friday and Saturday night. So I was not there Saturday because I announced at Valley. So I think Mike Parker did the announcing, and when he wears many hats, it looks like some stuff doesn't get posted. So anyway,
Yeah.
do we have a caller on the line?
We do have a caller on the line. Were you done with all of the lineups there?
Well, I guess I can be. Second night, our second weekend of racing here in the Kansas City area. And boy, we got a character on the line, don't we?
Absolutely. If anybody ever gets on Facebook, they probably have seen some of this guy's work. We've got Kevin Prisky with us, and I don't know, you probably didn't hear the Thursday afternoon teaser, did you?
No, I did not.
Well, I pronounced it Kevin Frisky.
Oh, don't worry, I've been called worse. Don't worry about it.
It's
No problem.
actually Prisky, but I like Frisky better.
I was going to say,
Hey, Kevin, what job was it you did today that it was your last day doing?
Obviously, you hear my posts then. Okay.
Oh, man, you're famous for that. You got a trademark, man. I like that.
Yeah, just try to add a little humor to it.
Well, I love your posts. You don't realize it, but I read everybody's stuff. I just don't have time to comment. There's so many people
So many.
worthwhile talking to, and you're one of them, buddy.
Yeah.
Who's the number 49?
We might fill everybody in just a little
Late
bit
model.
as I'm going to try to stop this for a little bit.
You post a lot of pictures, Kevin, and I think
Yeah, fantastic, isn't it?
Mike Kraft has put a bunch of them up there, and there's a late model. I don't know if you can see the screen where you're at, but
No, he's on the phone. He's driving, I think, aren't
I
you,
see.
Kevin?
There's a late
No,
model.
I'm in a parking lot right now.
Oh, okay. Anyway, to fill everybody in, excuse me, Greg, for interrupting, but Kevin is the administrator for 3 Legends sites: Midwest Dirt Track Legends, Iowa Dirt Track Legends, and you'll have to help me with the last one, Iowa.
It's Oklahoma Dirt Track Racers and History.
And History. And
Yeah.
Kevin, that sounds like a full-time job right there.
Well, but I love it. It's okay. I love it. I really do. I've had a blast. I've been doing it for several years now, and I just enjoy it. I enjoy the racing from the past and everything, and sure glad we're getting a chance to get a lot of the old pictures out, and I love a lot of the stories that people post too. That's the kind of stuff you never hear about.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Well, we like to start everybody off to kind of find out how they got involved in got involved in racing. What were your beginnings, Kevin? I mean, did your dad or family just go to the races, or what?
Well, I was born and raised in Iowa, and my granddad used to take me to Tunis Speedway in the Waterloo Cedar Falls area.
Tunis?
Back when I was 6 years old. And I tell you what, first time there, I was hooked, just as a 6-year-old. And so I stayed in Iowa till about 1972. So the whole time I went to the different tracks there, Marshalltown, Boone, Iowa State Fairgrounds, went to that quite a bit, Knoxville, and I was just covered up with a lot of good tracks, and so I went to all of them, and that's how I just got hooked. I just couldn't get away from it. I just love it.
Well, you've got a connection or roots down in the four-state area in South Missouri or Arkansas, where you live down there?
Yeah, I live in Bentonville, Arkansas now. It's the northwest corner of Arkansas, about 6 miles from the Missouri border and probably about 15 miles from the Oklahoma border.
Yeah, I didn't know you were living in Bentonville. Heck, I usually get down there to Pineville in Missouri.
Oh, do you? Okay.
There on the Elk, usually 2 or 3 times a year. Greg, Kevin, we'll have to get together, man.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, I'm all for it. I've been going to these, and first chance you get, you guys are more than welcome to come to that Dirt Track Legends luncheon they have once a month over there in Tulsa. That's only a couple hours away.
Right.
Yeah.
And, well, we'd love to have you over there. Shane Carson puts that on every month, and it's a really good deal. You got a lot of history there, a lot of the guys from back in the past there, and we all sit around and laugh and giggle and do a lot of lying, but it's all good.
Hey, I can relate to you so much. First of all, I love races in Iowa. I didn't get to go when I was a young man. My roots as a young guy, a kid, getting influenced is in South Missouri. But I promoted the racetrack in Fayetteville, Arkansas when I was in my 20s. I thought that,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I called it Razorback Speedway. It was...
Yeah, Razorback is what it was known by for the most part. You talk about a lot of legends from South Missouri and North Arkansas, and, well, there's a bunch of them raced there at one time.
Well, you talk about stories. I'll tell you my favorite one, if you're patient and you want to hear this. Before promoting a racetrack, I lettered race cars, and I was known for that exclusively, not a promoter. So it was like my college education, go to Fayetteville and learn a lesson about promoting racetracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Larry Phillips was a customer of mine, and I knew for a fact if I was to put on a big race down there with Larry Phillips and Ken Esri and Johnny Bone, that it would be a win-win deal. And so we did that on a 4th of July, and Larry Phillips come down and won that. And he was so happy because him and I had a good friendly relationship. It meant a lot to both of us, And Ken
Larry was a big-time legend around here. He really is, yeah.
Oh, he's legendary in my heart forever and ever. There'll never be another Larry Phillips. And
oh, absolutely not. He was one of a kind, definitely. So, yeah, fortunately, I was able to watch him race quite a bit, and his son's not doing too bad either. Terry, he's pretty good.
No, not at all.
Well, that's a topic that binds many people together. Bonds many people is the Larry Phillips, Terry Phillips story. It's like the Earnhardt story almost.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a great part of the country. There's so many pioneers down there that are just as important as Iowa and the Missouri State Fair and that triangle down there where you're in, or the 4 states rather, not a triangle, but that's a great area for racing.
Yeah, I like, Kevin, I like to talk about how each one of these communities each one has their own racing history. I mean, from just right around here, you can talk about Topeka. They, with
Right.
the 2 tracks they've had up there, of course, Kansas City, I don't know what we've got here, 5 or 6. Then Marshall, Missouri, they had down around Jeff City and Marshall, that bunch that raced down there. And then, like you say, the bunch down there around Springfield in the 4 corners.
Right, and it's like that get-together we had here a few years ago down there in Springfield, Missouri there, that Larry Phillips Memorial. That that was a big time deal, and I'm glad you made it down there, even though you made me interview all those guys. I didn't know what I was doing, but anyway, so, that's the last job too, I think. So anyway, yeah, I was able to, we were able that day to have Ramos Stott there, and Freddie Fryer, and Bob Trossel, and Shane Carson, and Ferris Collier was there, and it was that's the first time I've ever gone to a racetrack and never watched a race. I was just too busy hanging out with those guys and everything, just listening to them, because they were just an encyclopedia of stories and knowledge and stuff. And that's the first and only time I've ever gone to a race and didn't watch a single race.
It's my fault. You can blame it on me.
We've got an interesting picture up right now, and I'm getting to know you better, and I'm just wondering if this is a picture of you raising Pinocchio, or is that a real baby, or is that
a doll?
A doll.
Well, that's before any rumors get started on that, that was my granddaughter's is in high school, and they had the girls and the guys take a baby home over the weekend, see what it'd like to be a parent. That's what. So that was my grand doll for the weekend. So
your grand doll. We're also flashing through some of these race car pictures. This one here has got a 10-4 on the side.
Tommy Joe Poucher, man, you're
yeah,
speaking my
Joe
language.
Poucher, he was probably, when I first moved to Arkansas, he was probably my first really big-time favorite driver. And I got to see him race a lot of times and help him a little bit. And, like I said, with the legends of Tommy Joe and Larry Phelps and the Esseries and the Bones and right on down the line there, this whole area just covered up those legends. It really was.
Yeah.
Well, that 10-4 car, I mean, first of all, the number helped make him famous, but Tommy Joe was a wheelman. And I think
he was a wheelman, yes.
That
He
car
really
might
was.
have been a Roscoe Smith car or a Gigolo. You can tell by the attitude that it's got.
The attitude?
Yeah, very much so, yeah. When the time I knew him the most, I think he was driving mostly GRTs and Larry Shaw cars at the time.
Uh-huh.
I think that was just before he retired, I believe it was.
Right.
I can't remember when it was, back in the 80s, I guess it was, he retired, something like that. So,
Yeah.
but now he's still living down in Carlisle, Arkansas, and
I'll be darned.
got a bunch of dump trucks and stuff down there. He's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah, I think we got you here with J.D. Cormack, and it looks like a chili bowl.
J.D., now that is a man that I look up to quite a bit. He has been an enormous help to me on finding out stuff from people that I never got to see race, but he has filled me in on so much on stuff that I've learned over the years. He's top-notch in my book all the way.
Yeah, well, like I say, you and your wife or whatever ever come up here, why, I'll talk to J.D. and we'll arrange it so you can go over and see his museum in his basement. It is.
I'd like to go too.
Greg wants to go. Well, maybe we can talk him into having an open house.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, talk him into it. That'd be great. I bet he'd do it too.
Open house?
That way.
Yeah.
Ernie Durr.
Yeah. Now we got a picture of Ernie Durr, like you say, being from Iowa, man. And I don't know how many pictures I saw of Ernie Durr and Ramos Stott on your Facebook deal.
Well, I tell you what, the boys from Keokuk, from Ernie to Ramos Stott to the Blankenship brothers, I got to see them run so many times at the fairgrounds, especially because when I was in high school, that's where I hung out the most. And I tell you what, I miss those days of the IMCA races there.
Yes.
And listening to Ernie. You could tell where Ernie was on the track without even listening, without even looking.
Yeah.
All you just listen for that hemming, you knew where it was.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Had a totally different sound.
Back in that day.
It did. Totally different sound.
Now, when you say fairgrounds, though, you're talking about Springfield.
No.
No, I'm talking about the Iowa State Fairgrounds when I was in high school.
Oh, okay. All right.
But fairgrounds tracks, everybody knew Ernie Durr. Or in Topeka, Kansas, they knew Ernie Durr.
Yeah.
Sedalia, Missouri,
Yeah.
they knew Ernie Durr.
Yeah, everywhere.
Springfield, Missouri, they knew him well down there, too. He did a lot of races down there against Larry Phillips. They had some classic battles.
Yeah, I pretty much remember him from Sedalia.
They
Yeah, Sedalia, he was tough at Sedalia.
And he helped pioneer races at I-70 Speedway too. He was a name act that came in, and
Yes.
I think they had some good, man, there's a guy I haven't seen for 20, 30 years just walked in the door here, Kevin. So, but, Ernie Durr and, Ramo Scott and Lynn Blankenship, and he had more brothers that raced.
Keith, you need to drink water.
What's the Blankenship's names?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gordy Blankenship,
Gordy.
kind of the, me and him, if you go to the Iowa Dirt Track Legends site quite a bit, you'll see where me and him kind of get after each other quite a bit. Gordy's he's a top-notch guy, you know, even though he's a bully. But anyway,
Bully?
you know, he's a top-notch guy. He's the kind of guy that went out of his way going down to Texas for the winter and would stop and make a point of seeing me here in Bentonville. Out there just up and have a cup of coffee or whatever. And then he'd go on from there. So that, you know, that means a lot to me. Somebody goes out of their way to do that, you know. So
there's guys that you pick on there. I really get a huge kick out of it. Rex Merritt, poor old Rex Merritt. You're really hard on him.
Now there's another legend right there. Good old Rex. He's I tell you what, there's another guy that's top notch. Now I've only met the guy and talked to him one time in person. I've seen him race a jillion times, but now there's another guy that is top notch in my book.
Oh yeah.
He can tell you anything about a race car, and he's a really good driver too.
Yeah. We've got a picture up here now of one of your Hillbilly Customs.
I think that was his last day driving valet.
It's
Valet parking.
I don't know what that thing is, but it looks like for an exhaust pipe, it's got a barrel coming out of it.
Yeah, Hillbilly Customs. Yeah, it's just one of my side projects. Yeah. So.
It's smoking a cigar.
Some of those are just unbelievable, Kevin. Where do you dig all that stuff up at?
You know, just I've got a lot of friends on Facebook, you know, and boy, they send me some of the craziest stuff, and you know, I just can't help but post it. It's just funny.
Yeah.
And that's the main reason I'm on there. I like the history of racing. That's one of the main reasons I'm on Facebook, of course. But I like to be having a good time, you know. I just like to have a good time.
Yeah.
Well, you brightened my day several times with your posts. Yeah. I'm glad you're a guest tonight.
Yeah. Has there ever been a legend or a person that when you were in the same room with, you were just kind of awestruck? I mean, you know, to me, there's some of these racers that are just bigger than life, it seems like. And
going back to that time when we were down there at Springfield, Missouri, at that meet and greet, Bob Trossel was one. Well, all the guys I interviewed that day, I was just kind of awestruck by them.
Right.
Shane Carson has probably been one of the biggest assets for me also. Him and Bob Trossel, anytime I'd have a meet and greet somewhere, you know, we had that one in Pleasantville, Iowa, too.
Yeah.
And Bob was there, and I know his health wasn't too good at the time, but Bob made it a point he was going to show up and be there. And, you know, that's just really neat. That's the racing family for you right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the race.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, we got a picture of you and Gordy up here right now.
Well, just blot him out if you want to. That's no.
Okay, Kevin, if you could pick one legend or, you know, racing figure from the past that you could sit down and just have a discussion with, who would that be?
Boy, that's a tough one. There's so many of them I really liked, from the locals there in Des Moines to the ones that are all raced in Central Iowa. But you know, I think it would have to be Ernie Durr. He was my favorite for a long time, still is. But he was really definitely my favorite. I could just, if the man would, you know, because he didn't boast or brag or nothing like that. He just went out there and did his job, and that's what it was. I would love to hear some of the stories because you know that guy would have plenty of stories. But you know, unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. So
absolutely,
I got to interview him with my friend Doug Neff, who was from Iowa. We had a radio show in Clinton, Missouri, and Ernie. We could not end the show. We kept talking and talking.
I absolutely agree. It would take a whole week for me, just, you know, and I'd stay up 24 hours a day for a whole week just listening to the guy and talking to the guy, you know. And you know, what a racing legend he was. But, you know, all those guys, I don't know if it was in the water or what it was down there in Keokuk, but they had so many great drivers come out of that area. And once again, I'm just fortunate enough I was able to see them and appreciate them too, you know. So, but anyway, so hopefully we can one of these days have another meet and greet up there in Iowa sometime. We can get over this COVID crap and whatever. Yeah. And let it settle down a little bit, because I really would want. I miss doing that. I really miss doing that. You know, getting together with all the guys and stuff. And you know, so hopefully we can do it in another year or two, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree, Kevin. I'd love to do that.
I'm looking at plungers in a whole new way right now.
Well, this is another Hillbilly Customs. This is the most creative use of a plunger goes to. And it looks like they're sitting on the beach, and they got the plunger there with a beer in it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Hey, we're
stuck in the ground.
Hey, work. Yeah.
That's cool.
I couldn't pass it up, Kevin. I'm sorry.
No, you could have, Mike, but I know you wanted to get on there.
Here's another one here with one of those turbines off the roof on the carburetor and a Folgers coffee can over the alternator.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes, right?
I gotta ask Keith, if something come out of your auto shop like that, what do you think they would say?
I think I'd be in trouble.
You think you'd be in trouble?
That's like something Phillips would have done just to mess with people.
Just to mess with people? But like I say, just some more of this hillbilly customs. It's just unreal. But we've got a picture of you here, I think, at one of these Legends get-togethers. I have no idea where, and I don't even know how to describe it. But Kevin, those have just got to be so much fun. And you know, just get to meet people that, one, you got to see race, and others just names that are legends, you know, that you can actually talk to and sit down. And like you say, the stories sometimes are just crazy.
Oh, they're wild. You know, you got, well, it's like that luncheon in Tulsa I go to for the Oklahoma bunch over there. You know, of course, a lot of the guys I didn't get a chance to see, and I'm still learning the history for over in that area, but Shane Carson's been a big help on filling me in on stuff. And but the ones that are still with us, you know, sitting down talking to them. Now, these guys were fierce competitors at one time. But now you sit back and listen to them now. Oh man, you know, everything was fine, and you know, whatever. So, but yeah, I love that stuff, and yeah, I don't know, just part of the racing history that's slowly, you know, going away, and so I want to try to get as much of it as I can, you know. So.
Yeah, we've got a picture, I think, of a Trossel car here. I can't remember. Was this up at Pleasantville?
Red number 20.
Could be.
We were up there.
Yeah, Billy Duesenberry brought it up. I think it's
20.
It is a Trossel car that he redid. I don't know. I don't think it's the last one that Bob built, but he's had it down in the shop. Billy's got all the neat toys down there at his place, and Billy's another great guy who had, you know, doesn't know me from Adam, but anytime we've had a get together, he brought that 20 car to Springfield also with Bob. Yeah. And that's the one that Shane did the hot laps in.
Oh, that's the one that Shane went out and hot lapped.
Yes, that's the same one, yes.
Yeah.
So,
you could tell when he drove it that day, he was still just a little leery of it, I think. Either it wasn't handling right or something, but...
a little bit, yeah, but you know what? You couldn't wipe the smile off his...
Oh, are you kidding? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, talking about fairgrounds racetracks, there's two of them in Oklahoma that are standouts that are no longer around. That's Oklahoma City, where Shane Carson's from, and Tulsa. Right. Outside the Chili Bowl, there's a whole horse track. Well, Emmett Hahn won all kinds of super modified races.
Did he?
So
that's
Emmett Hahn, Harold Leaf.
You bet.
Oh, John Johnson was down there quite a bit, I think. The list goes on and on there. And, yeah, 10,000 people in the grandstand every week, and it was quite the deal. But, you know, as time goes on, politics gets involved and all that stuff. And
money.
Those tracks, you know, money, yeah. And they're just, you know, and you think about it now, if you go by the Tulsa track now, it's just a horse track, and most of the grandstand is gone now. They've ripped it down, and I don't know how they make any money with it that way, but anyway, so it's really sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, we've got the 33, another red Sprinter here. And then,
That'd be Jerry Blundy.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jerry Bundy.
Yeah, I've got what looks like a political button here. Only thing is, it says I pooped today.
I was wondering what you did today.
Well, that's what's one of the things you do when you bench race sometimes. You know, is see who had the most movements that day.
Oh shoot!
That's part of the station, you know. But
Kevin, you're a riot, man.
Well, I try to make everybody's day the best I can. You know, and I just do it for the fun of it.
Yeah,
And
here's
knowledge.
we've got your buddy Rex Merritt's car here now.
Well, you can take that down anytime you're ready. That, you know, he's another bully. So anyway, so
yeah, is he going to try it again this year? I think he's still active, isn't he?
you know, I don't know. He's tied up with that shock company, and I don't know what Rex is going to do. To be honest with you, I really don't know what he's going to do. I haven't heard. I haven't talked to him in a while, so
Yeah.
so I really don't know what the situation is with him right now.
I just have not made it that much down south, and then with Springfield doing the pay-per-view, why I'm pretty much out of touch on that deal, because I can't get in there. I can't video or whatever. But I think we made it down to Lebanon Midway. I wanted to go to Monette, didn't make it over there. Now I think they're closed this year, aren't they?
Yeah, what do they call it, the granddaddy of them all, or something like that down this area, Monette.
Yeah.
It's up for sale. The racing there is great. It always has been.
Yeah.
And once again, a lot of legends were there too. But just little by little, it slowly deteriorated, and they're sitting in a prime location for commercial real estate right now.
Yeah, it's industrial all around them.
Yeah, and they just built a hospital not too far away from it too. So I'm sure there's going to be some money changing hands there before it's over with. So, and that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
A little bit of history about Monette. It was built by a guy, I think in like 1969, so they've raced since then. But the same guy came down to Fayetteville and built that racetrack that I had. And then he also built a third one somewhere. But they all ran a circuit down in the four-state area. You could race 4 or 5 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you could. Yeah, you had Tri-State down there at Fort Smith, and you had Monette, you had Fayetteville, and there was numerous tracks in northwest Arkansas, and they're all gone now. Yeah, they're all gone.
Well, you could race.
And that's a shame.
You could race
go
at
anywhere
one
now. I
time
have
in
to go up to
Joplin
Missouri,
on Tuesday night.
Oklahoma to watch any racing now.
Really, Joplin.
On Joplin on Tuesday. It was called Ozark Speedway.
Yeah. We've got looks like I call it orange, but it's probably red, number 11 on a truck hauler. You know who that is?
Not off the top of my head.
Huh?
It's not ringing a bell right offhand.
Okay, well, we'll press on then.
It looks like a modified fire truck.
Yeah, almost.
At my age, I ain't got many brain cells left anyway, so don't pick it too much. Anyway.
We've got a Dodge 23 now. I think this was either Ramos or Ernie's Durr's car.
That was Ernie Durr's car. It looks like one of those kit cars.
Yeah, it is kit car. Exactly.
Hey, that was one that Ernie tried to qualify up the Milwaukee, Wisconsin track up there with it, and don't think he qualified with it. I don't think he was happy with it. Of course, Ernie would run asphalt, but that wasn't his forte. He was a dirt guy.
Yeah.
And so anyway, he tried it up there, and I don't know what's happened to that car since then. I'm sure it got sold off and all that, but I think he did run it a little bit at Knoxville on the dirt and whatever. So I don't know if he has good luck with it as he did with those big Dodge Chargers and stuff, though.
Yeah. Here's a legendary driver, Don Hoffman, and it's on his wedge bed truck.
Yeah, Dandy Don. He was one of my heroes at the state fairgrounds there. Drove the Monte Carlo 121 that I believe was a Bobby Allison built Monte Carlo. Tom Agnola Incorporated sponsored him, and Don did really well over the years. He did a lot of winning over the years,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Kevin, we're running out of time, buddy. Once again, I want to thank you for, especially on such short notice, taking me up on this deal. And I know we had kind of communicated a little bit about getting you on here, which I really wanted to do because I think what you do is just so important, and you keep us entertained besides, like Greg says. Yeah, I think during the day, you get on
You're
Facebook.
welcome on both counts, okay.
I think we need to invite you back some other time because
Yeah.
it's a blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, whenever you get hard up for a guest or something like that, I'll be around somewhere, so.
Okay.
Hey, one final note, or thought to ask you. You were Iowa bred, and then you've been down in Southwest Missouri, Oklahoma. Going through the state, did you ever stop at I-70 Speedway? Are you very familiar with that place?
I tried to get up there one time for a World Outlaw show. This was back years ago when Sammy was driving the Nance 1N car and all that. And so that goes back a lot of years ago.
Yeah, way back.
That's the first time it was covered with dirt.
And so anyway, I went up there and drove up there, but it got rained out. And I haven't been back since, and I'd like to get back up there again since they went to dirt. I guess it's still opening up, isn't it? I haven't heard any
As
more.
far as I know.
Next Sunday afternoon, they're going to
Yeah.
have practice.
Yeah, as far as I know, everything's on schedule. I think
Okay, well, I
only thing
didn't
you
know
can do
if
it
it
is
run into
ask
any
God.
problems, but so, and that's great. I hope they get it cranked up because that's what, a 3/8 mile track now?
I think so. I think they shortened it
Well,
up.
they're
I think.
calling it that, but I-70 was a big half, and they're just not up close to the wall with it. They made it leveled off there so you don't hit the wall.
Oh, really? Okay, okay.
Yeah. There was
I
some-
definitely want to get up there and try to see that because I heard that was a really nice facility up there. So,
Well, there'll be a lot of posts after Sunday about it.
Yeah.
Next
Well,
Sunday,
yeah.
not this Sunday.
I'm
When-
eyes open for see how it goes. Yeah.
When you
Right.
get home and you get off the phone, well, you make sure and tune in because we're going to have Keith Acton on here, and we're going to have some fabulous pictures. One of the things
Great.
that I so enjoyed looking at those was reminiscent about Lakeside Speedway. My brain is starting to fade, and some of those pictures just were so vivid
Yeah,
and
I can't wait for that myself.
and stimulates your thinking, and it starts bringing back memories and stuff. So it's going to be a good one from here on. Okay.
All right, no doubt about it. Well, I'll tune in as soon as I get to the house and I'm eating supper. I'll tune into it. Okay.
Well, of course you can go back. It'll be archived, so you can go back and watch it.
That's good. That's good. 'Cause I definitely want to go back and see how this turned out. I hope I didn't embarrass anybody. So.
Well, other than I pooped today, I think you were okay.
Well, what you see is what you get with me. So anyway.
Okay, Kevin, thanks a lot, man. Like I say, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, hey, look, anytime, guys, give me a holler. We'll do it again, okay?
All right,
All right,
thank
baby.
you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Talk to you later. All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, man, that was a blast.
Yeah, wasn't that fun? That guy, he is a character number one. Keith, you want to come on up and join us?
I place my memory as an announcer.
Yeah, second door on the right.
I remember drivers' names in conjunction with their car numbers.
Yeah.
Keith, was your number 20?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
My last one, yeah.
Yeah, so
Started out with 75.
we got Keith Acton coming up here in just a minute, and he was most known for his number 20. And Lakeside, I think I saw him at I-70.
Well, he was I-70 points champion in 1984.
Oh, there, yeah.
1984.
There he is.
Looks different, don't he?
Yeah,
Hair's dark.
that's the way I remember
No,
him.
no beard.
Yeah.
Keith will be joining us here in just a few minutes. folks.
But-
Just hang in there.
I-70 Speedway, one of the reasons that is so relevant today is, like I said, next Sunday they're going to have their first open practice. And you're not allowed on that property. I've tried to go in there
Oh, have you?
and get stopped.
Yeah.
But they posted some pictures the other day, and they're online on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw those.
You can really see how much improvements they made to that
Oh, yeah.
place.
Sorry about that.
And
That's okay.
and I figured they'd just tear down that old press building and not replace it with something extravagant. But boy, they've got suites I mean, it's a state-of-the-art place.
I was gonna say, they have been
It's like-
talking about renting some of those suites out, but,
Right. It's like brand-new
it's
facilities.
gonna be interesting to see how that all plays out. But folks, got Keith Acton here. Like I've told Keith, I think I talked to him this morning, one of my favorites, man, at Lakeside in particular. It seemed like Lakeside was just one of those places that was so unique, and the racers and people that came in there and raced were just top-notch. I mean, it was the top of the class, or whatever you want to call it, of racers in that era.
I think so. That's where I learned, was at Lakeside. I learned on a half mile. I never run too many short tracks other than the half mile.
So you stayed completely away from Riverside?
Yeah, I raced Riverside twice, and I ended up I turned too late.
Sounds like you were polishing off the top of the hill.
Yeah, I was kind of over the hill. Yeah.
Well, you know, back in the era we're talking about, you either raced at Lakeside or you raced at Riverside.
Yeah.
Now, I think the only guy that really would do both was Claxton.
Claxton was good.
Yeah.
And maybe Tom Carrick.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And they did something quite a bit at Olympic, too, as I recall.
Yeah. But
Speaking
no, the
of
half mile agenda when him and I were kids, that's where I started at on Lakeside on the half mile. That was it. I mean, if you wanted to have your name known, it was Lakeside.
That's where you wanted to race.
Yeah.
And there again, we see where your future, or your past came from, I guess I should say, in that your dad owned some race cars. Is that not right?
Yes. Yep. Cliff Lilly used to drive for my dad years ago. That's actually me sitting in that car.
Oh, that is. Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh.
That
Isn't
was
it?
a long time ago. That was the one they called that car the Blue Angel.
Huh.
Donnie Bowes drove that car for a while. Dad used to race a lot at Topeka, and now he used to run a lot of when he owned his cars at Riverside.
Riverside.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what this was. This a sportsman then?
Yes. Yes.
Or a little earlier than the sportsman?
Yeah. And he ran at Olympic.
Uh-huh.
You know, I can remember when I was just a kid running around at Olympic when they had the old wooden fence.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
but
Huh.
yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. You can see right here, Greg. You see right there, it says Lilly Plumbing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, do you know what that other one says, Keith? I can't. If we can see it any better back here. Standard service.
Standard service.
Yeah, that might be. It probably says Acton Standard Service on it, because my
I
dad
think it does.
had the service station there in Avondale, and it was a standard station.
Now, is that, you talking about that's where Vic Austin is now?
Yes.
That's the one?
Mhm.
Okay, well, we'll have
Same
some
building?
pictures.
Yes.
We'll have some pictures of that later. Avondale Radiator?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that?
All right.
My dad used to own Avondale Radiator.
Did he really?
And he
I
sold
didn't
it.
know that.
He sold it to Ronnie Joy.
Yeah?
And at the races, you were promoted as being from Avondale.
I didn't know
Seemed
that.
like
Is that right?
Yeah. Avondale was synonymous with Keith Acton to me.
Yeah.
So I heard it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, you're still around, man. Hell, ain't that far from it.
That's right.
You
That's
just up
right.
the road.
There's a 17 car.
You
That-
haven't moved
Yeah.
a lot, have you?
No.
Don't get out
No.
much.
No, not at all. Stay close to home anymore.
Now, do you have any idea where this is?
Unless that's at Topeka, at the old fairgrounds.
Fairgrounds?
That might be.
Uh,
They used to race on Saturday nights at the fairgrounds. And I would say that's probably where that's at.
Okay. I kept looking at that fence and I thought, Knoxville? No. Pretty early. I don't know if they had that big fence back then.
Is that fencing or is that empty bleachers?
It could be empty bleachers. It might be Riverside. I don't know. Who knows?
You know, that might be Riverside, because it looks like it's got the short wall there in the front.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it's got that
And
old wire, not the wire mesh, but the square.
Yeah. not cow fencing, I can't remember what you call that, but I know what you're talking about.
It's a cool
Like-
picture.
Like concrete reinforcing stuff or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay. You got any idea what year this could have been? This looks like
Oh.
50s. 50s?
Later than that.
Yeah, I would have to say
Earlier?
early 60s probably.
Do you remember it?
I remember that car, yes, but I don't remember,
Okay, is it a V8? That'll tell us, give us some.
yeah, that would probably had a small block Chevy. Yeah, it
Yeah,
did.
it looks like the headers here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, now look here.
That was my very first toy.
You told me about asking your dad about borrowing some money. Tell us that story.
Well, it wasn't for this car.
Oh, okay.
I traded a 40, me and a friend of mine, his name is Gene Bowles, had a 40 Ford Coupe, and we traded to Randy Grimmett for this race car.
Yeah.
And I think that race car lasted 2 years before I destroyed it.
Is that a 64 Chevelle?
Yes, yes.
And, of course, Greg here is the race car hauler of the day.
Oh, he,
A tandem axle.
In fact, that was Randy Grimmett's trailer that he let us borrow for a while. Because I didn't have a trailer at that time.
Yeah,
that's better than the one I had.
is it really?
I remember this. We must be about the same
Yeah.
age because my first race car was a 64 Chevelle and it was red.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm 64.
I'm 64.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I painted a Tasmanian devil on mine.
Did you?
Oh, really?
I'm impressed, though. At least the trailer tires match.
Well, yeah.
The hubcaps
yeah.
don't. I mean, this is almost high class, high limit here.
Dude, I've been an axle, so it became a two-wheel trailer.
Let me see if I want the right thing here.
That was an old 57 Chevy chassis, is what that car was
Okay.
built on.
Okay.
That was like the graduating step. He had an old 57 Chevy, and somehow the fit Chevelle body would fit on that
halfway
chest,
decent,
halfway
yeah.
decent.
Yeah.
So like the 62 John Oswald, I remember
Yeah.
at that
Oh,
time
yeah.
he had one with a 57 frame,
Yeah.
and I think Tom Carrick did too, because
Really?
they all started with 57s, and you don't throw those cars away. you
I was
know,
going
you
to say,
just
well, they
reskin
must have
them.
been solid, too. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, some good steel or whatever in them.
When I started it, John Oswalt was racing, Galen Schaefer, he was from Topeka, Joe Wallace, the Divins, Bud, and Mike.
Right.
In fact, we used to pit next to Mike, which was dangerous at times. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was a good old car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, when I destroyed that thing, I cut the cage off of that chassis and got another 57 Chevy frame and welded it all back together.
Yeah.
Some of those cars with 57s, Mark Martin had a 55 Chevy, and they ended up steering in the center with move the drive
Yeah,
away from
really?
the wall. And because way those frames were built, the roll cage had to come down straight on the frame rails
Mhm.
and put you in the center of the car. But that's cool.
Yeah. Looks like an old 4-speed, maybe?
Yep, it was. I think I know the guy who built that car. I believe his last name was Emig. He used to have
Gary
a shop.
Emig.
Yeah,
Gary Emick, yeah.
used to have a shop out there by the stadium years and by the Royal Stadium.
That was my first job working for Gary.
Really?
Is that right?
That's right.
I'll be darned. Wow.
Yeah, I was going to get ready to comment. I mean, it's got some workmanship on that interior, that sheet metal
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
and everything.
That
Gary was good with that
That
stuff.
was a
Really?
nice car.
Back then, he was the only person in Kansas City that really put that much effort into
Oh, really?
Mhm.
building cars.
I'll be darned. Now, isn't this
That's old
something
stuff.
right there?
Mm-hmm.
Turns 3 and 4 at Lakeside.
Yeah, Lakeside was actually 5/8 around the outside and a half mile around the inside,
Uh-huh.
and the boilerplate was solid.
Know that for a fact. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, once a dent was put in that, it generally stayed there.
Yeah, yeah.
Boilerplate.
They'd never had to replace any boilerplate.
Of course, for people that don't know or don't remember, but there was a pretty steep bank over that fence right there.
Yeah, there
down
was
to
a
the
good
road.
sized hill. Yeah.
Down to the
You there
road.
that night when Billy Moyer cleared it and went down by the press box or by the ticket box?
Did he make
Yep.
it all the way down there?
He
Yeah.
did.
Yeah,
He must have-
he didn't even touch the wall. He went over
Over
it,
it.
and they found him down there at the bottom. I think
Well,
he went all the way down to the
I
bottom.
think he did.
To that, he must have went out like out of turn 2. Because
Going
this
down
is
the back
past, yeah, this is past the ticket booth. Ticket booth's way back over this way.
to the right.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is this is
'cause
coming
that's
out.
3 and 4. There's the old scoreboard.
Yep, that is coming out.
The bushes are in turn 4, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's the end of the grandstands right there.
Yeah, so they passed the danger spot where Moyer went over. That would have been on the right side.
Yeah,
of the
back to
green.
the right.
Right.
Well, I was going to say, it had to be back on the back
Right.
straightaway. And boy, there was a bunch of trees back there. How in the heck did you get through them trees?
Boy, he's got the record as far as I know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there's anything left of him or the car.
Wasn't the pit gate right
Yes.
and left of the scoreboard
Where that
right there?
blue car is.
Yeah.
Yes.
The pit
yeah.
gate was just right back that, and then there was a little shack
The pit shack.
that's set off. Well, it was also, I don't think too many people know this, but I've said it a couple times, but I worked ambulance there one night.
Oh, really?
When I was 17 years old, I think. And the pit shack was also, I don't know what you want to call that, kind of a recovery room or whatever. If the driver or whatever would get hurt on the track, you'd go out and pick them up in the ambulance, take them over to the pit shack, and then they'd wait in there till an ambulance would actually come and pick them up, or you'd wait for another ambulance one way or another.
Remember that lady that worked in the pit shack? She was there forever, and she back then when I was young, she was probably my age now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I barely remember her.
I want to say her name was. I want to say it was Virginia, but I don't
I
think
think
that's
it
right.
was.
Was it?
I think it was Virginia. I can't remember the last name, but anyway.
She sell programs?
No.
No. She just sat there and collected your money when
Yeah.
you bought your pit passes to get
Yeah.
in.
Well, I was your age too, so I was checking out all the women.
But anyway, that is so, gosh, memories.
I love that track. That
It's
was a neat
crazy.
track.
I mean, look at this.
Oh, man.
Look at this.
I like the hippie van there to the right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so, gosh.
And there's another old fire truck looking rig behind you
Mhm.
in front of your car.
Oh, stub nose.
Yeah.
A lot of people had them back then.
Now this looks like a different car here, Keith. What
Well, it's different body.
Just
Same,
different body.
same. Well,
chassis?
yes. Yeah, same
That's where
chassis.
you change your number to 75X.
Yeah. I don't even remember why I changed my number now. It's been so many years ago.
You know, I just remember you the number 20. I
Yeah.
didn't.
I like that number the best, actually.
Now here was my favorite spot at the track. The only thing is you had to get there like an hour and a half early to get a parking place up there.
You know, I've had back in the later days, we used to get, Gene Claxton and I was running first and second one night there in the feature. And in fact, he was leading at the time and ended up getting the right front fender tore on his car, and it was just hanging. And I pulled up beside him and loosened up my belts and reached out and grabbed a hold of his fender and jerked it off his car, which was the biggest mistake I probably could have ever made because he was hard to outrun. And people thought we were fighting or arguing on the racetrack. So next lap we come around, we was on the yellow, and we had beer cans and beer bottles and everything else thrown. I don't know if they thrown
really?
them at me or thrown them at him, you know. But it was,
Off the quarter.
yeah, that was,
There was so much drama and interesting stories at the old lakeside.
Oh, I tell you.
That hillside up there, if it could talk.
oh boy.
Boy.
I mean, I sat up there after sneaking in the trunk of a Dodge Charger
Yeah.
and watched Jan Opperman from that spot up there.
Really?
And he
Oh,
could
He
go,
was good.
he could
Yeah.
go through them holes like nobody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. Gosh. Oh, man.
Now, my first race ever at Lakeside, Alan Chancellor, that become the MLRA
Yeah.
owner,
Uh-huh.
I was building a race car and I need a motor, and his leg was in a cast, and he said, well, take the motor out of my late model. So I had a late model motor in my 69 Chevelle street stock, and he set up on that hill with his leg propped up on a tailgate because his leg was in a cast. and I didn't know what gear to race in. The third or fourth gear didn't work, so I crammed her down in second. And he's up there waving at me every lap, and I thought I just said hi. And he said, "No, I was trying to tell you to shift to third." There's the 75.
Yeah. Now that's Gene Bowles, the guy that in fact, his uncle's name was Donnie Bowles. He drove for my dad for a while, and we got that car together. And I think he got a chance to drive it once before I destroyed that one. You know?
Do you remember if that was a late model or was that they called it a hobo class?
No, it was a late model.
Yeah.
That's the only class I ever run. My whole career, the whole time I ever raced was late models.
Yeah. Gosh. There again. That's turn 3.
Yeah.
Right there by the scoreboard. Boy, she's pushing bad, Keith.
Oh, I know.
The wheels crank to the left, and it's not going that way. It doesn't look like.
That was a guy that didn't know what he was doing right there.
And you was trying to get your bell bottoms from off the brake pedal.
That was about my second year, I think.
Yeah.
That's a great picture. Every car that is a push that people want to give you crap about it, but it's telling some kind of story.
Yeah.
Okay, looks like we got a Nova here now.
Yeah. That was a good old car. I had a lot of fun on that car. I never destroyed that one. Thank goodness. But I'll never forget the time that my dad was totally against me racing. And I told him one day during the fair, we was going to go to the fair, he says, and I was still living at home at that time, he says, "You have no business going to the fair." And tried to talk me out of it, and I went anyway. And we ended up doing decent. It was, I think it was a 50-lap feature, and we finished in the top 10 anyway, you know. And it was a good time. Today was another one of my favorite tracks.
Yeah.
I love dry slick racetracks.
Yeah. I can tell you're moving up in the world here now. Your car hauler's got fenders.
Yeah.
And that's probably an 8-lug truck hub on the right front, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, it is.
Oh,
yeah.
Big old, huge.
Yeah. Probably same on the rear, I imagine. They usually used to run both of them, if I remember.
That old three-quarter ton
Three-quarter
rear
ton,
end.
yeah.
You either had a 514 gear or 486 or
Right.
411.
Yeah. Did you tell us a story a while ago about asking your dad to borrow some money?
That was when I bought the 20 car that I have. I bought it at an auction when we used to have the auctions here at the American Royal. Charlie Sentman used to have auctions down there every year. And I was bidding on this car, and it had a $7,000 no sale on it. And I was bidding against a chassis builder, and it got up to $5 grand was the last bid on it, and that was my last bid. And the other guy, I don't even know who the chassis builder was. He backed out, and Charlie looked at Dwayne Snyder was the guy who owned the car, and he looked at Dwayne and asked him if he wanted to let it go or not. And he says, "Who's buying it?" So Charlie had me stand up, and I stood up, and he looked over at me, and he says, Dwayne says, "Yeah, let it go." And I'm thinking, man, I've got $4,000. So I was $1,000 shy. So I called my dad and asked him, I said, "Can you lend me $1,000 till Monday?" "What's it for?" And I said, "It's for a race car." "No." I said, "Dad," I said, "I just need it till Monday. I'll give it back to you Monday." Nope, he wasn't budging. But I was fortunate enough that Dwayne hung around till Monday, and I went and got the money and paid for it and took it home.
Yeah.
Great story.
Dads are wonderful.
Yeah. I never was so mad at him in my life when he turned me down.
Well,
Okay.
you know, at least you had a dad that knew enough about racing to talk you out of going to Sedalia, because, boy, I blew up a good motor.
That track seemed to be good at that, and that was kind of hard for me to believe because it was always such a dry slick.
Yeah, you didn't need a lot of horsepower today. I think that's why because we didn't have a lot of money back then,
Yeah.
you know, and it didn't take a lot of horsepower. It just took a little finesse,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Now here's talking about Avondale, Greg,
Yeah, I recognize it.
and actually the other building on the right is the old Avondale,
Avondale Radiator.
But
Mhm.
this was your dad's shop here,
Yep.
or was it actually a filling station, or?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Well, we're on the same communication level here. Our thoughts. I had a Nova body on my car too after the '64 Chevelle.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, the same transition. But see, those car reason I was asking about that hobo class, I would buy race cars and never know internet. Who do you call to find out if it still meets the rules?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So I had several race cars that were illegal. I couldn't run them. So I ended up, Larry Castor at Lakeside was the promoter at the time. He went back to the street stock concept.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I actually got to start racing. On a regular basis.
Yeah.
The street stocks. There's Avondale Radiator.
Yeah.
Yep.
My question is, why are you going backwards?
Am I
Back
going?
in the track? Shouldn't it be? Shouldn't you be going that way?
We don't know.
Well, I guess it could be the front straightaway.
Yeah, I think it is front straight away.
Yeah, that could be a
picture's
front
kinda
straightaway
Yeah.
going down that. Okay. When I look, I thought,
I better not be going backwards.
wrong way.
Yeah.
Them old Novas made good-looking race cars.
Yeah, they did. I agree.
It was hard to mount it to where the front fenders weren't up in the air like that. Like mine was like that too.
Mm-hmm.
But now Emig built one, and it had the body fit different. And the wheel well was cut out clear to the top of the fender.
Fender.
Yeah.
It looked cool, real cool.
To me, a lot of these pictures that we're showing are early in your
Mhm.
career. Now, how did these early years go?
Terrible.
I mean,
Terrible.
Were you in the running for any points championships? Did you have any feature wins?
No. No.
This
I
was a proving ground for
This was
later
my
on.
learning curve.
Learning
Yes.
curve. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to switch here directly.
180-degree headers.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, I just put that in there on account of the headers because, man, you don't see those no more.
No, and
Was
they
there an
were.
advantage to them? What was the big deal? Just the thing that everybody was doing?
Everybody was running them. Monkey see, monkey do back
Yeah.
then, as
It
far
was
as
like you didn't-
I was concerned, anyway.
You didn't sound cool unless you had 180s.
They did sound good. They were a pain in the butt, though, because
I bet. You have to work around them. And
Then there was a period after that you had Zoomies that pointed straight to the ground.
Yeah.
4 tubes
Yeah.
on each
yeah,
side.
about so long.
Yeah.
I
And we're
remember
talking
Charlie-
that was state of the art.
Yeah,
And
Charlie
they-
was
That
running
was
them.
state of the art then to have those headers.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's press on.
There
Here
we
we
go.
go. Now we're kind of getting more into the
Now that
modern era.
I remember that.
that was the car I bought at the auction.
Okay.
Who was the car builder?
Timmons, out of
Oh, really?
Wichita.
Timmons.
That was a Timmons chassis.
I can't remember the
I
guy's
bought
first
a
name.
Timmons chassis.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, did you?
Yes, I did.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
that-
did that wing work out for you back there?
Everybody complained because it was so tall, but who knows how good that worked back then?
Here's
you know?
one right here.
Yeah, yeah. That car when I bought that, Dwayne, a guy by the name of Walton was his last name. I can't think of his first name, but he won 2 championships with that car up north. They come from up north in Iowa,
Oh,
and he used to run up around.
0-2.
Yeah, that was it. In fact,
Ken Walton.
that's who it was, Kenny Walton.
He was a legend.
He was good.
You bought a good car.
Yeah.
Now, I presume what we're seeing here, too, also, talking about your career changing, is you were going from these stock chassis cars to, was this the tubular chassis?
Yes, it was. It was.
And what else? More sophisticated suspension, I presume, and
When I bought that car, it was a leaf spring car,
Right.
and it had coil springs in the front and man, I'm trying to think. And we had an old Pinto rack and pinion on it. Back,
Pinto.
yep, back then, and eventually I changed it to a coilover all the way around. Well, I had coilovers on the front, and I went with coilovers, a single leaf on the back, and that was the best thing that I ever did.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, I took it down to Wichita to Timmons, and he set it up for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that was another one of the best things I ever did, you know. And he was very helpful. You know, you could call him and ask him anything.
Yeah.
Or even Dwayne, the guy that used to own a car, you could call him and ask him anything.
Uh-huh.
Well, that was, those Timmons, early Timmons cars were kind of a variation of the 55 Chevy 57 frame, because I don't know if this one was, but they had the straight frame rails
Now this one was all
with leaf springs that were 57 Chevy style leaf springs.
Yeah.
this one was all 2x3 tubing.
2x3.
Mm-hmm. With the 1 3/4 cage, you know.
I think we've got
Yeah, that
another.
was the progression they went.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is this the same car?
Same
'Cause
car.
didn't you say you drove this car for like 6 years or something?
I drove that car for the rest of the time I raced. I never destroyed that car.
Uh-huh.
And it was a coilover then. And
I-70.
that was I-70, yes.
Yep.
Because we had the short wall, no
Yeah.
fence. You get up against the wall, you go out of the park
Mhm.
at I-70.
It was just like a launching ramp.
Yeah. There again, seeing some of these old pictures from I-70, Keith, are just,
Look at that, man.
that's Lakeside
Yeah.
there, I think.
That's Lakeside.
That's a great picture.
Now, there's, speaking of the pit wall, or pit gate, there it is
Mhm.
right there.
You know, I think it was right in the middle of 3 and 4. Just
It
Pretty
was.
close. Pretty close.
mathematically right
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah,
You know,
pretty close.
the best spot at Lakeside is when we got rained out, is that once you got out of the racetrack was park out there in the staging area, and then drink beer and watch everybody else try and get out of the
Trying
racetrack.
to get out. Yeah, I remember that too, yes.
Now, if that place was still around, could you imagine if we had to pit outside the infield?
Oh boy.
It was all hilly and stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, there wasn't no room.
Yeah.
No place to do it. Hardly enough places to park to get to the darn grandstands.
That's
As
true.
I recall,
Yeah.
parking was
You
sucky.
parked out in the sticks.
Yeah. Of course, the other thing I remember, and I shouldn't say this, was all the guys used to just walk out behind the parked cars and go to the bathroom.
Yeah. That's true.
Boy, that place had character, didn't
It
it?
did. It did.
It's full of character.
Speaking, we're talking about pooping and peeing, but anyway.
I mean, that was back at the time when if you come into Kansas and you were 18, you could buy you a 6-pack of beer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, 3-2.
And it was actually safer going to the John out in the parking lot than it was using the facility.
I wasn't going to bring that up. No, I wasn't going to bring that up, Keith.
Well, maybe I should.
Oh, such fond memories. Gosh, I miss it.
There you are, Victor Lane.
Yeah, it was my first feature win.
Now, where was that?
That's at Lakeside.
Lakeside.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be
I
darned.
painted that Pepsi sign in the background.
Did you really?
Yeah.
The guy on the right is Dennis Betker. He used to build all my motors.
Yeah.
Competition Engine was the name of his shop at that time.
Uh-huh.
Competition engines?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Out there off Leavenworth Road.
Right.
Isn't that Terry Wantland, the flagman? I
Yes, it
think?
is.
Yep.
Terry, absolutely. When I seen that, I meant to mention that when I seen this. I thought, man, I got to make sure and say something about Terry. He
He-
just retired last year.
He used to point his finger at me a lot. I'm not saying which one, but he used, that used to happen.
Yeah, I get that.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
He
gee.
carried a lot of authority.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and you didn't want to make him mad.
Well, they did back then. Now you got these race directors, and the flagman just more or less does what they tell him.
Yeah, Wantland's
More or
old
less,
school,
but-
man.
The
Yeah.
flagman was in control then, man. And boy, you PO'd him. You were in deep doo-doo.
Yeah, he could be a mean one.
Yeah. Any chance the daughter
No,
flag
that
flag girl?
Flag
Or,
girl.
I mean, trophy girl.
Trophy girl. That was my sweetie at the time on the right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was a lot. That was, yeah.
First win.
Yeah, I got a little teary-eyed that night. Took me a long time to get that feature win.
Yeah. How many years? 3.
Oh, man, probably. Yeah, I would say more like 5, 6 to get my first one.
Wow.
I won a lot of heat races,
Uh-huh.
but the features were, there was a lot of competition at the old lakeside.
Y'all
yeah,
tell me
it was.
about it. Are you kidding?
No.
Like I said, the biggest names in racing came there back in those days.
Yeah,
And we'll see some of them here in a little
Well,
while.
you know,
Let's
that's
press on.
interesting that you say that, because, yeah, they were, but at that time, I thought, well, I'm going to go somewhere easy. So I went down to Nevada, Missouri, and boy, did I get a lesson. There's good drivers everywhere.
There's good drivers
There's
everywhere.
just not enough people around there to talk
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
You know, at Lakeside, you had a lot of publicity back in that day.
Who's the 11?
Donnie Cooper.
I
Donnie
thought,
Cooper,
I was
yeah.
wondering, I seen the Cooper on there. Now, is that the Cooper Automotive or whatever out of Clay Como?
No, he was out of Sedalia.
Oh, okay.
And that was at I-70.
Okay.
Him and I, and that was my first feature run at I-70 that particular night.
I'll be darned.
And he run second, and he run the bottom, I run the top. I know there I'm on the bottom, but I think we're just starting there.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah, he was fast back then.
yeah, he was.
Wow. Such great memories here.
Look at that.
Yeah,
It's I-70.
That's Claxton, I presume, on the pole.
yeah.
42, and what, it's 171. Is that Hager?
That's Hager, Jamie.
Jamie Hager.
You think it was Jamie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Look like you're inside
Second row.
And I can't make out the number on that other one. Another
I don't know who
42.
that is.
But anyway, Greg, just, gosh,
That's awesome.
you believe this stuff?
Oh,
Last week and this week has
Yeah.
just been unreal, hasn't it?
we've seen some awesome pictures.
I just,
And what's awesome about this is that's obviously not a professional picture like we had the professional photographers.
yeah.
Mhm.
I like stuff like that.
Well, it may have been for the day, though. You probably
Yeah, it
bought
might
these
have
from a
been.
photographer,
Right.
didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, this wasn't family or anybody taking these. This is all they had, Greg.
I used to know the photographer's name back then, but I don't. That's been too many years
Well,
ago. I
there
don't
wasn't
remember.
Skip Richardson. You know, we had him on 3 weeks ago.
I don't remember.
Long
did.
before digital cameras.
Oh, way
Yeah.
before, yeah. In fact, it probably even before 35 millimeter. It's probably earlier than that, Greg.
That might have been one of them little point and shoot.
Well, something. But whatever it is, anyway.
Look at that
Bobby Golden.
Bobby Golden. Yeah, I finished second to him that night. I-70 tried to get around his butt for probably 5 or 6 laps. And I was a top feeder. I loved the cushion. And he would always go in to turn in the middle and push up right in front of
you.
And I booted him in the butt a few times going down the front straightaway. That's one thing I can say. I never intentionally crashed anybody or spun anybody, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to boot on your butt.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Let them know you're there.
Yep. Bobby, I still see Bobby every
Yeah.
once in a while. I liked old Bobby.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
Yeah, yeah. I've
Oh, he
had a
was
few
great.
dealings with him. He seemed like a nice guy. His boy, you know, raced for a few years.
That's what he was telling me.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, had a mixed bag of racing there. He did some.
He even jumped back in there for a couple of years.
Yeah, I think he did. I think
Oh,
he
he
did.
drove for Christina Smith.
Yeah.
Yes.
For a while. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's an
I-70.
I-70. Yeah.
Yeah, that one's kind of, we can't make that much out. Let's move on that one.
It's another I-70.
Yeah,
That's
Claxton
going into
again.
turn 1.
Yeah, in between 1 and 2. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know who the red car is, but like I say, Claxton back there. Can't see the number.
That's at the
I-70.
fair.
Oh. No.
Because the guardrail.
Is
The
it the
fair?
fair or
Mhm.
I-70?
Them stands no big enough. That's I-70.
Yeah, that might be I-70.
Because that, where the flag is, that's where they sold beer, wasn't it?
I don't remember the guardrail being on top of the wall in the front straightaway.
I do, and I wonder why Sedalia didn't do that, because that was necessary.
Yeah, here's the porch up here at I-70, right here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it sure is.
Right there, the little porch, because I videoed off that. And then, like I say, they sold beer or nachos or something right here. And then that little building, here's a ticket booth down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's I-70.
I believe you're right now, after thinking about it and
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah, that's the pictures I just recently saw. Oh, that's the 01
Keith White.
Keith White. Yeah,
Oh, Whitey.
I lettered that car. But the I-70 pictures are interesting because the buildings that we thought would survive and go again, they tore them down.
Yeah,
Like
well,
that concession building in the infield
Yeah.
and then the press
Yeah.
box up there, they just started completely over.
from what I heard, that stuff was in such a rundown condition that there was no replacing it. You know,
I heard the same
The
thing.
wood and
Yeah.
everything was just,
Yeah, they were concrete structures, so.
yeah. Plus, something else about I-70, Greg, and you worked there, you know this, the restroom conditions were really bad before they closed. So I imagine they had to dig up that whole thing and
Start over.
start over with septic and
I know
whatever.
when Brad had it, there was some problems with the
Restroom, really bad,
restroom,
really bad
the
stuff.
drainage and everything.
Yeah, and the only way you could get to that, I would think, would be to tear the whole building down. Whoops, went too fast there.
And I really like that last picture.
Well, let me go back. This one?
You know, the one where that Keith is
Now,
part of.
that's Lakeside again,
Yes.
and remember that concessions were right down there where the yellow lights
Mhm.
are. I don't think I was ever up in the press box there. It closed before I started doing any of this.
I was up there a couple times. Wasn't because I wanted to be.
Having a chat with somebody?
Yeah, yeah.
Whoops, come on, Mike.
Oh,
That was Joe Wallace.
Yeah.
Now,
Now that,
that 5 car, who the hell is that?
Ronnie Hoover.
That's who that is.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I keep Greg here.
He was quick. Ronnie Hoover was quick.
Yeah.
He's from the Capitol, wasn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now,
Well, that's for sale. It says
Yeah.
4S,
4S.
and he must.
That's Super Joe.
Yeah,
That was
Super Joe.
more or less a street stock that he had put together.
Really?
And he run it down at I-70 a few times. Joe was, I drove for a guy for a while. His name was Howard Lindsay. I don't think there was any pictures of that car that I give you.
Uh-huh.
But it was an orange Camaro, and it was a number 20. And
All right.
Joe built that chassis, and that was before I bought this car, come to think about it.
Well, Joe's son Brian became number 20. So, and that car, I had forgot completely about that 4S, but that you're bringing me back to my memory back.
Mm-hmm.
That's he did build that because that was the era where there was those 10,000 to win street stock races.
Yeah. 10,000 win street stock.
Yeah.
Joe was a character.
Boy.
You'd ask him his advice on something, and he would never give you an answer. And finally, I asked him one day, I said, well, and we was talking about sway bars. And I said, well, would you race your car without a sway bar? Nope. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah, he was
You know,
exactly that way.
He would never tell you what to do.
Uh-huh.
He told me one time he says, Keith, he says, you're too aggressive when you shouldn't be, and you're not aggressive enough when you need to be.
Yeah.
And you listened, right?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Huh.
Joe Wallace, one of my favorites of all time. I like Joe.
Whitey was a good friend.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him forever.
I think that's
See,
Hager.
he's got competition engines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Painted it on his hood there.
Yeah.
Dennis was building his motors too.
Yeah, Hager in the background again. I
Oh,
think.
man, I see what you mean, Mike. These pictures are bad to the bone.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
It's just, I feel so lucky to get to do this, Greg. Yeah, I really do, because it is just so, gosh, it brings
So-
back such great memories.
Are these off your Facebook page, Keith?
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you
No.
remember who took them?
No, these are all my own personal pictures.
Yeah, I forgot. These were out of albums. These are not Facebook.
Right.
He handed, gracious enough to
Oh,
hand me over
okay.
3 albums,
I see.
and I went through them and tried not to, do too much repetitive
Yeah,
stuff.
that's the best way to get pictures. There's Claxton.
Now, that's I-70,
Yeah.
just on account of the seats.
Yeah, I was
You were
going to say the
talking about
same
the
thing.
wall.
Yeah.
You talking about the wall a while ago, but I see the seats now. Don't think-
I-70 was a fun racetrack.
Oh, really?
Oh, I love that. It was, I would have to say, I-70, when we were running good, I was confident enough, I knew that I could finish in the top 3 anytime. I just
Uh-huh.
had to get there.
Uh-huh.
Lakeside, top 5. I wasn't as good as Lakeside as I was at I-70.
Well, to me, and I'm not a racer, but the high bank tracks kind of give you something that you don't have as far as setup.
Correct.
Because I don't know if it's the G-forces or whatever with the extra banking, but if you miss the setup a little bit, I think it picks you up. Is that a true statement?
That is. I mean, you can make up for, if you're off a little bit on the chassis, you can make up with your right foot at I-70.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
It
And,
was a motor deal,
and
pretty much.
if you didn't run the top or are afraid to run the top, you wasn't going to do very well at I-70.
On dirt,
On dirt.
on dirt.
Yes.
Because, yeah, okay. Well, I'll
I mean,
do
that's
that.
just my opinion.
Yeah, okay. What, are you gonna go to I-70 any of these dirt races when they have them? I mean, I know they're all gonna be special shows, there's not gonna be any weekly stuff like what you were doing, but I mean, just out of nostalgia, Keith, I mean, are you gonna have to go out there and see one?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go. I don't understand why they shortened the track. And from my understanding, they took some of the bank out of it. I mean, that's what made that track
Unique.
special.
Unique.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was a dangerous racetrack.
Well, the wall made it that way though, right? Although I've always said, dirt or otherwise, asphalt, whatever, you had a wreck at I-70, you paid for it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely broke
You
something.
tore something up
Yeah.
because
But-
you're running. You was running. I don't know how much faster, but you were running faster at I-70 than what you were at Lakeside.
Yeah.
How many pictures did we seen of cars launching off of that wall
Yeah.
out into the parking lot?
To me, that's what made it really dangerous, was going over the wall. But 2 names that just come to mind is John O'Neill Jr. and, gosh, I had it in my mind and I already forgot it.
And my friend Bob Peterson went out, and
Oh.
Terry Bivens.
Yeah. Sprint car guy got hurt there real bad one time too. USAC.
On the back straightaway.
On the back straightaway.
2 of them went off together.
Yeah. Billy Deckman. Billy Deckman's the other one.
Oh yeah.
John O'Neill and Billy Deckman
Yeah.
on the asphalt. They both had serious wrecks, and even to this day, I don't think that John O'Neill is still 100% from that wreck that he had.
Keith,
that
I
right?
really don't. He's fought that off and on.
I admire you, man, because it took some cojones to run that top side at I-70.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the Flintstone Flyer coming up here, Mike Duvall, and I thought he was so badass because he could run the top side and set the track record and stuff, but boy, it was scary. It was scary just watching.
Yeah.
You know, I had a sprint car driver, and you guys both know who he is, Ralph Parkinson Sr.
Uh-huh.
He was one of my mentors and taught me. He was my biggest critic. Man, he used to give me hell when I did something wrong. But we didn't live that far apart, okay? And
Yeah, he just lived right over here off Prather, didn't he?
Parvin,
Or
right up there,
Parvin.
about 3 houses up on the left from
Yeah,
Parvin.
yeah, up from Avondale, where you come up from Avondale.
Yeah, really a nice fella. And him and an old midget racer was George Smith. Would always, they would either come by and give me hell for something I did wrong. Ralph come by the house one night and he says, Keith, he says, you don't try and pass the same guy every lap. He says, you follow him, you find out where he's weak, Then you make your move.
Uh-huh.
If you try and pass him over your lap, he knows you're there.
Uh-huh.
A lot of good advice from Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you was telling me at the shop the other day that you used to tear this thing apart every winter.
Every
down
year.
to the bare bone.
Sandblast it, go over it.
Tubular chassis and that big
Mhm.
coil spring. That was an era.
That was when I first bought that Timmons car. That's the way
Is
it
it?
was right there.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, is this one of those hubs you were talking about, Greg? On the
No,
front?
that's a more sophisticated version. They took it basically the same
Oh.
geometry or
Oh,
math
okay.
in it, but they gave it 5 lugs instead of 8.
Well, and it's got disc brake, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah, that's got disc brakes on it, yeah.
Instead of-
They made those hubs back in the 50s because them super modified run 'em.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Lakeside again, it looks
Yeah.
like. Boy, these turned out, most of them turned out fairly good.
Yeah, they did.
I had to pull back the plastic to keep from getting glare. It looks like I didn't do it on this one, but
That might have been a track photographer picture eventually,
yeah.
early on.
That's
really-
Sedalia.
That's Sevilla.
Tell by the,
There was a wreck in front of me, and I spun to keep from hitting the guy, and they put me at the back. I was never so mad that day.
I think the next one's the same thing here. Let's
Yeah, that's as I was going around.
see. Yeah. Going back to that other picture, though, these guardrails, how many years is them guardrails like that? And finally, that one year they have that accident down there and then they close the track. Said it's unsafe.
Every year I raced down there, they had the inside and outside guardrail.
I think it's probably still there.
But they were talking about how low they are, but I think the last race I was at down there, I can't remember if they doubled those or raised them, one of the two,
At
after they had that, where them people
some
got
point in
hurt.
time, I think they put chain link fence on there.
Well, the chain link fence was there when that wreck happened, where the people got hurt.
Well, they took the inside, years ago, they took the inside guardrail down, the last dirt show I went down
Oh,
there
really?
and seen.
Wow.
So at least you had somewhere to go,
Uh, no, they put them back up. They're back up again.
So Steve Kosiski, isn't it?
No, that is the old man.
Bob Kosiski.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, how many pictures have you seen of him, Greg, in the last 10 or 15 or 20 years? I can't remember
One of my
any.
early memories is him going around me at the old lakeside going a lap down.
Oh, really?
Bob Kosiski, and I thought, man, that guy's a rocket.
Yep.
I thought I was fast, and
I'm-
here he comes.
I'm pretty sure that is the old man because
Okay.
his cars were yellow,
Right.
and I think that I'm almost
It looks
positive.
yellow. It's just
Mhm.
the flash, I think, kind of overridden.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
were you
probably
racing with
Bob.
him, or was he lapping you?
That was.
Or
I'm
can you
trying to see
remember?
where the hell that's at.
That's
There's the
Lake-
wall
Yeah,
behind
that's
it.
1 and 2. Because
At
there's the
Lakeside?
parking up there. Yeah, that's Lakeside.
Yeah, it sure is.
That's lakeside.
It is hard telling. It's hard telling.
Where they were taking a picture of you or him.
Yes, that's right. Probably him.
Yeah, I don't know how old this is. It doesn't give us a year. It
It's
says
when-
August 26th. How about this, Greg? Last race of the year, season-ending championship race, August 26th. Now we're racing to almost November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Weld promotion.
8 more weeks.
That's when Greg Weld had it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think he's the only one that ran it dirt.
Does that say 25 miles east of Kansas City? Well, that's stretching it a little, isn't
I would say. Is that what that says on there?
it? Yeah, well, if you turn around this one, you can read it up here.
Boy, there's a name I haven't heard of, Jeff Tuttle
26 miles
Jr.,
east.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah, that's stretching
Ronnie
it a little.
Schumann, Scott Richard, Shane Carson, Randy Smith, Rocky Hodges.
TJ Gidding,
There's Junior Parkinson.
Ricky Weld, that is Jeff Tuttle, Junior Parkinson.
And Junior got the championship the same year that I got the championship.
Oh, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Where am I at here? Yeah,
That's, man, I know dirt versus asphalt, but that's the most memorable era for me of I-70.
Yeah, I agree. I still say one of the most.
Man, but you say that, you think about all the ASA shows on pavement that were cool.
Yeah.
And all the cars from Wisconsin
Yeah.
and shit. That was awesome.
Well, to me, I think we talked about this here just a week or two ago. Was it NCRA or
Yeah, NCR.
late models?
Yeah.
when they come down, I was just flabbergasted. I thought, God, I've never seen anything so fast. To me, they were faster than sprint cars, but they had them huge, giant things on the back.
Wing, yeah, spoilers or whatever you want to call them.
So that says Acton captures first win in 10 years at Lakes.
Yeah, this must have been that first win
Yep.
that you had.
10 years, so. I thought I was the only guy that went 10 years without winning.
Well, the one that's really amazing about that, I forget what it is, Claxton. Claxton went several years before he ever won his first race.
Is that right?
Yes, yes. And I mean, it was like 6, 7 years, if I remember right. Long time.
They were hard to get.
Well, you got to learn how to win, you know. And I mean, once you win, I think it's easy to be consistent winning. But it's a lot of.
Yeah.
Now with the new cars, you just call the chassis builder and they'll dial you right in.
Yeah.
Here's Claxton.
Yeah, that was at the banquet.
Tell us who these all are, because you won the championship here, it looks like. Yeah, 1984.
Let's
This is
see
you
here.
right
That's
here.
me. Now next to me, I don't know who the Hager's standing in the middle.
Yeah, right
Okay.
here.
Yeah, you can see that's Jamie.
Who these guys are.
I don't know who them
this
two
is.
are.
Claxton, and I don't know who that is.
Well, that's Bobby Golden. on
That's
the
what
far
I was
left.
going to say.
Where,
That
Golden
looks
here?
like Golden
Yeah.
on the far left. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, well.
1984.
Probably all names that we would just
That's
remember.
when Lakeside went to NASCAR, isn't it? 1984.
Have no idea. Couldn't tell
It
you.
was. That was the best thing that ever happened to me is when NASCAR come to town, because then it wasn't as much a money sport. They put us all on the same tire and the same carburetor,
Uh-huh.
and that kind of made us all, a little more competitive.
Yeah.
So the NASCAR was there until the end, and I think 88 was the last year of Lakeside, right?
There again, I've lost track, Greg. My brain is canceled out on that part. I loved reading this letter. I don't know. Well, I'll turn around and read it. I can see it here. Do you remember this letter at all? I want to thank you for all of your support you have shown to I-70 National Speedway over the past several years. I greatly appreciate your presence and really enjoy watching you race. Best wishes on a very successful conclusion to the 1995 racing season. Congratulations on being number 1 in total points at I-70 for most of the season. You are currently tied for second place with a total of 192. Jamie Hager also has 192. Gene Claxton took over the lead last weekend with a total of 202. You are a super friend, and I always enjoy working with you. I look forward to you regaining the lead before the end of the season. Steve Mitchell, track coordinator.
I'll be damned. I know. I don't remember that
You
at all.
don't remember that at all. That was in the
I'll be
scrapbook.
damned.
That was in the scrapbook.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I mean,
Yeah.
how many drivers get that kind of treatment?
Yeah.
Steve
Imagine
Mitchell.
it was
Man, that
typed
name
on
is
the
familiar. I'm
typewriter,
just trying
too.
to think of who Steve Mitchell is.
Track coordinator.
There was 2 Steve Mitchells in Kansas City racing, and this guy was kind of more the writer, publicist, Steve Mitchell. Another one owned a sprint car. And I think that's who this is, the publicist guy, and he was mainly known for I-70.
Yeah.
And that was in 85, did you say?
Yeah, 85 it says.
Because Gene ended up, we were leading in points going into the feature that night, if I remember right, and I lost the motor about 5 or 6 laps from the end, and Gene beat me out by 8 points, I think it was.
Wow, you kids. Anyway, that's quite a
Yeah, that's the car I remember the
quite a
most.
deal
that you
there.
had.
The old J Truck Driving School. Now, did you have that before Tom Charles had it?
Yeah.
Now, how did that come about? How did you line up that? They come to you, or did you seek them
No,
out?
that guy standing on the right in the very back, his name is Richard.
This one here?
No, on
Over
the
here.
other side.
Here, this
Yeah.
guy right here.
He used to go out and do sponsor hunting for me.
Oh,
and,
really?
And he's the one that got J truck driver training for me. And that was J truck driver training. He was a good sponsor.
Yeah.
So by this point in time, was your dad more encouraging?
Oh, my dad always backed me. He just wasn't going to lend me a dime for a race car, okay? He'd done been down that road and knew what it was all about.
Yeah, he
so.
knew what was waiting, didn't he? Oh, shoot. I think that, oh, no.
That must be the year that's 1985, isn't it? You think?
Probably, yeah. I drove that, and that's Whitey parked right in front of me. He got hurt or something and we were out at Lakeside, and he wanted me to drive his car. We ended up losing the motor or broke or something. And I did not like driving other people's cars, especially friends. And I ended up crashing his car. Coming off of number 4, he had a 3-link suspension, and the Himes joint broke, and it just made a right turn right hit on into the concrete right there about where Terry was at. And yeah, I did a number on his car.
This I-70, there's the old pit shack there, Greg.
Yeah.
And some of the buildings there at the back of the stands.
That's
Back to Lakeside, I think. 82.
I don't know.
Doesn't ring no bell to
Or
me.
is it B2?
This looks like early spring, no leaves on the trees.
I don't remember Lakeside's wall being white.
Yeah, they painted it fresh.
Oh, did they?
I think that was when Vern Claiborne was the promoter.
Well, I forgot all about old Vern Claiborne.
Yeah.
Andy was his son's name, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, he ended up racing too.
Yeah.
And he raced for quite a while.
I think that's B2.
Yeah, it could be.
I think that's Harley Blanchard.
If you say so, Greg. Doesn't ring no bells with me. I'll be darned.
There's Joe
Now
Kosicki.
there's
Yeah.
Joe Kosicki there. There again, Lakeside in 1 and 2.
You know, for them guys to be from all that tow from Omaha down, they really became fixtures at Lakeside.
They did.
I mean, we all knew them, and
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
were good.
yeah, they were neat guys.
Won several points championships and stuff down there too.
Now, if you go up to I-80 racetrack in Nebraska, Joe's the promoter.
Yeah. I got to ask you a question, Keith. I just thought of this. Don't know if you know David Turner or not, but he's a late model driver and was trying to get him on the show here a while back. But he was talking about after the races that him and Joe and some other drivers would all shoot craps together. Now, did you ever do that after the races?
No, I was not much of a socializer. I wasn't a non-socializer, but
Yeah.
I raced to make money, not make friends, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And in the last 2 or 3 years, we did pretty well, especially with the sponsor we had, but I was not. I was not a bad guy either, but I just wasn't one that walked around the pit area and shot the breeze with everybody.
Right. No, I understand. 45.
Oh, Cowboy! What was Cowboy's? What was
Alan
his name?
Chancellor.
That's who that was.
Oh, that's Alan there?
Mm-hmm. That looks like his car.
I'll be
I
darned.
think you're right.
I'll be. Gosh, it's unreal.
And I think that was it.
That's
at Lakeside.
That's
Yeah.
Lakeside
Yeah.
there, for sure, again. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Can't make it out. Is it 08 or
I don't know who
That's
that is.
Ken Walton, I believe.
That is
18?
Kenny Walton.
18?
02.
Oh,
Yeah.
02.
That's the guy who drove the car that you got.
That I
from
bought.
us.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be darned.
Remember Jim Martin?
Yeah.
Him and I started front row at I-70, one of the big shows I had down there, and his car was just as old as mine. And we raced at Lakeside the night before and finished 1-2. He got by me on the last lap, and we went to I-70, paid $2,500 to win that night. And we both started. I won the heat race, won the dash for cash, and we started side by side in the feature. And I knew in my own mind if I beat him in the first turn, I had a good chance of winning. Until I had a flat with 3 laps to go.
Oh.
Gene ended up hitting the wall in the back straightaway and brought out a yellow. On a yellow, my left rear tire went down.
Oh, man.
But I still ended up, they put me I had to come out and start at the back, and I still ended up, I think I got back up to 5th in 3 laps.
Wow. Unreal.
Now, who's that behind you? Is that the,
That's another Kosinski, I
that's the
think.
35. That's
Yeah.
Ed Kosinski.
I don't know how you remember this stuff, Greg.
Well, it made an impression, obviously. Now that,
I-70
isn't
again.
that number one, that orange car?
It is, and I'm trying to think of who that is. That's not French, is it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I believe it would be.
Is that Clement on there?
Yeah.
C-L,
That's
or
Jeff
Climate?
French.
Climate.
It's an Iowa car.
Mm-hmm.
Climate something, maybe? Okay.
We were at I-70 one night, and Tom Wonder was from Topeka,
Yeah, I remember Tom.
and he was leading the race, and I tried to get by him, and French was behind me. French was beating on me something terrible, because Tommy was actually holding us up. So I went to put a slide for life on him in 1 and 2, and as I was backing up the hill, I got into his left front, just barely nudged the left front tire. Sent him out of the park.
Oh.
But I thought I did. So they were waiting on me with the scale. I mean, we had a small riot in the pits that night. Then they tried to run us off the road going home. And come to find out, about 2 or 3 weeks later, French come up to me and he says, Keith, he says, you wasn't the one that sent him out of the park. He says, he slowed down. I drilled him in the butt, and that's what sent him out of the park.
Huh.
But I got the blame for it.
Yeah.
But it didn't hurt his car. He drove back around the pit gate.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
Gee. Oh, man. National Speed Sport News here, Keith.
Yep.
And NASCAR. So that's 1985.
Yeah. Crazy, crazy.
Back to Catches Field in an I-70 modified feature.
Now, I don't know why they call that a modified.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking, what are they talking about?
Rider don't know.
When I seen that, I thought, that don't make no sense.
By Richard Poland.
That's out of the Star, I presume? Kind of looks like they're type they use.
Oh, there's John Oswald.
Sure is.
Yep, sure enough.
And Jamie, they added the 1, 7, and the 1 and got 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a cool picture.
There was some neat stuff in this, Greg. I know you'd have loved it there.
There's what we got, the more modern wide 5 hub.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Went to a 4-link and went backwards when I did that. Didn't understand how it worked. And
That is the thing that took and separated us old guys from the younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4-lane.
4-link right there.
Now you got to spend a lot of time under your race car.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The best thing I ever did for my racing career is went to a chassis clinic put on by Randy Sweet.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
And he's gone now. You know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. He was a character too.
Yeah. Spent a lot of hours like that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that you or is that Ron or what was it?
I think that, I don't know who that is right offhand. That might be Jim, a good friend of mine. His name is Jim. He used to help me.
Yeah.
He was my right-hand man, basically.
And went a long ways in the towing rigs and trailers there.
Yeah, yeah.
That was state of the art
Still open, but
in them days.
dually wheeled truck there. Probably 454 Chevy. No
No,
diesel.
That actually had a 406 small block in it.
Did it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's I-70, isn't it? Outside the
Yep.
back gate there,
Yep.
out in the parking lot. And there she is. How many races you win in that car, guy? I did. All told.
I only really had 2 feature wins in my whole career. Lots of top 3s, lots of top 5s.
Yeah.
I won damn near every Dash for Cash I was ever in. Lots of heat races. Features were you had to earn them.
Yeah.
It just
Well,
depends on where you started,
Yeah.
and how many yellows there was.
I think that's it.
Man, that was a blast from the past.
I think that's it. Keith, man, it has been a real pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
And like I say, I know you were so hesitant about it, now it wasn't as bad as you thought it'd be, was it?
No, once I got started, I kind of relaxed a little bit.
I tried to tell him, Greg, I said, just act like the camera ain't there.
Yeah,
It's just like
once
me
in a
and
while
you having a conversation.
You just forget about people's listening to us.
Yeah, you do. It, like I say, it's just three guys up here yakking about racing and looking at good old pictures.
Brings back a lot of memories.
Yeah, I bet it
Good
does.
memories.
Yeah. Speaking of that, before we close, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? Greg, I didn't ask one question on this list. If you can believe that.
Well, let's pick one.
I don't think I get. Well, I wanted him, if you wanted to shout out to anybody. I'm sure there were people during this period that were behind you and, give you a lot of help and helped you get through to do what you wanted to do.
If it wasn't for the people that we've seen in the pictures that helped me, Richard and Jim and Dennis, the guy built all my motors, and what sponsors I had at that time. I did all my own stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't never do it alone. I mean,
Right.
you got to. It's a team effort, no matter if it was 20 years ago or if it's today.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well, it's important to people that you help you along the way. And as we get older, it's like, who's going to go to the races and help me?
Yeah. But anyway, Keith, like I say, thanks a lot for doing this. I know you were, like I say, just a little bit hesitant when I talked to you about it.
I was. When you called me this morning and asked me how I was doing, I said, nervous.
Here, let me. I'm going to pick one off of here. If you could go back, who would you want to go back with you, and where would you go?
Oh, man. Like go back to racing?
Yeah, if you could go back into racing as it was when you were living it. If you could go back, who would you want to take with you? And where would you want to go? Probably I-70, because most guys like where they're successful.
I liked it. Well, my three tracks that I liked the best was I-70, Lakeside, and I love Sedalia. I love the dry. As long as you could see, because it always got so damn dusty down there. I love dry slick racetracks.
Mm-hmm.
It was just it was so much fun that's it. If it wasn't for my health, I would probably still be playing one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
But I just couldn't do it if I wanted to anymore.
Yeah.
So I stay away from the racetrack because it wants me to get that blood boiling again. So I don't. I used to go out and sit on the hill with a good friend of mine. His name was Ed. He had a spot out there. 2 or 3 years ago, we'd go out every weekend, and watch, and it just gives you the itch, and so I just stay away.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand totally. But anyway, Greg, you got any? We'll just have you stay for a minute here. Greg, you got any closing comments? I mean, has your mind been rampaged here tonight with these pictures?
Fond memories. I think if I'm going to answer that question, I'd want to go back to that terrace at Lakeside, the old Lakeside, and sit up on the hill with, can I pick more than one?
Yeah.
Just the people that were important to me.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
And idols, Larry Phillips, Joe Wallace, and Old Cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if we could sit up there and kick back and relax,
Yeah.
imagine what you could learn.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, no, that were good old times, man.
Yeah. I'd say mine, but I don't think I can make it through it. Sorry. Go with my brother to Lakeside. That's all I'm saying. Anyway.
Yeah, I remember the old track officials at Lakeside. They were special.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very special.
Well, and so many times they're overlooked, and they're the people that, how do we explain it? Put it on, make it happen, enforce the rules, spank your hands when you're bad, and they get overlooked so much. You know, it's terrible.
And we don't realize it at the time.
Yeah, but they're just as important actually as the racers that are out there. That are people that are officiating and that put it on and put it together. We forget about them so much.
Yes, we do.
But absolutely. But anyway, folks, I hope you have enjoyed this tonight. For myself and for Greg, I know it's been a trek down memory lane.
Yep.
And Keith, thank you for providing that, man. These pictures, when I started going through there, man.
Imagine if we had everybody's old photo albums in racing. Well, man, you'd never leave that.
Well, we're going to try to work on that here in the years to come. We're going to keep doing this because it's just so much fun, really enjoyable. But anyway, folks, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. I hope you have enjoyed the Works Local Racing Roundup. As we always say, if you enjoyed the show, tell you what, call a friend, tell somebody, start a watch party. Just let them know what we're doing here because we can use all the fans we can get. But if you didn't like the show, we understand that also because we probably just didn't have your favorite driver on this week. So you just didn't really want to watch, and we understand that also. But just go on Facebook each week and get on Cheeseworks videos and see what we're going to be doing. I try to put that up as soon as I can and get it out there so you all know who will be on the show if you want to watch or tell somebody and call them. But I think for tonight, that's going to do it. On behalf of Greg Clemens, Keith Acton, and myself, I want to say good evening. See you next week.
Valley Speedway, Saturday night.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You got it, man.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Doing good.
Thank you. It was enjoyable. I really had a good time.
Yeah, I had Galen Schaefer name and all that. That being the age we are, we've seen so much.
Oh, Larry Briggs. No.
Larry Briggs.
Larry Briggs and